So thanks, that's an interesting question. Think, Feel, Know helps people understand how we receive and process information, how to respond so that you can be heard and understood, how to write in ways that enable people to understand your message, understanding how people buy in different situations, such as ordering a meal in a restaurant or buying a piece of jewelry. Just imagine how a couple would buy a house. The decision's very often made as they get out of the car. They look, it's a gut instinct thing, it's done in the feel no space, it's not a thinking process. Now they still need to go and calculate, can they afford the mortgage, and is the house big enough, and are they going to fit 2.4 children in, but it's not a thinking process. Think, Feel, Know helps us to sell more effectively. It helps us market products differently, and it manages relationships with customers more effectively. People say things to us like, we really felt that you understood us. So how to understand ourselves so that we can engage with others more effectively and reduce and eliminate conflicts. Wouldn't that be an amazing place if we could do that? And I want you to imagine now the decision-making process. Imagine you have a team of 4 people, you have 2 primary thinkers, you have a primary feeler who's absolutely sensational at working out energetically what's going on, and you have this gut instinct person sitting in the corner, very often known as the smart aleck. All you got to do is ask me and I'll tell you the answer. So the thinkers bring the data, the information to the room, they bring all the numbers, they bring all the facts, and they present all of this information to the primary feeler and the primary knower. What the feeler does with all of that information is they start to try and process in a space that's not their speciality. So they'll normally store it and work on it later. The knower's sitting in the corner basically saying, look, I could tell you the answer. I don't know why we need to go through all of this. Meeting breaks up. Thinkers usually carry the day because they've brought the proof to the table. And over the course of the week, the feeling processor processes all of that information and suddenly realizes that it's not the right thing to do. Comes back into the meeting Monday morning and says, I need to revisit that decision that we made. It doesn't feel right. And the thinkers throw their hands up in terror and say, what on earth are you talking about? Here's all the data, here's all the numbers, what's the problem? Gut instinct person sitting there going, well, look, I could tell you the answer if you just ask me. So it's absolutely key that we align those 3 different styles. And if we were able to acknowledge the thinking process and understand that they've brought the facts and the details, trust the feeler's energetic decision around this feels right or this doesn't feel right, and use the instinct of the person who's good at using instinct and make a unified decision, what we'd have is a unified team and the decision gets made properly. One of my favorite stories is a sales manager who came in to do a sales training around communications, was using the Think, Feel, Know process to help improve his communications with both his clients and his staff. And he said to me, as we were going through the day and looking at the different styles, they'd done their analysis of their own particular mix of thinking and feeling and knowing. And he discovered he was a primary knower, very, very knowing space, bullet point communication, very abrupt style. He said, as I was going through the day, I realized that my 2 daughters were very different. One of my daughters was a primary knower and one was a primary feeler. He said, my wife was a thinker. So he said, I started to think about the times when communications went poorly, and I realized that, you know, my knowing daughter and I would read a bedtime story and it was click, we're now through to the end and finished. But my feelings daughter wanted time to look at the pictures. She wanted story around the story. She wanted much more expression. Never felt I gave her enough time in the storytelling. And my wife wanted to talk about numbers and thinking and processing, and she could talk and talk and talk. And of course, in a knowing space, I just wanted an abrupt conversation. And I realized that the quality of my communication wasn't working well. And he came to me about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks later, and started telling me how he changed his communication with his family and how it had absolutely changed his life. Suddenly, his feelings daughter was jumping up on his lap and giving him a cuddle and having long bed night stories. He was able to sit there and go through the data with his wife and do the thinking process. And he still had this sensational relationship with his primary knowing daughter. So the quality of our life is the quality of our communication. And if we can develop the skill to recognize and speak in all 3 dimensions, we can change our lives and the lives of those around us.
Well, thank you for coming in today, Nic. It's been lovely talking to you.
Yep, you're most welcome. Thanks very much for having me.